What's up, everybody? It's Eduardo, and today I'm here to teach you how to create a really nice, visually appealing Instagram grid layout. Taking the time to learn how to thoughtfully design a visually appealing grid layout to differentiate your account from the countless of other accounts on Instagram that offer something similar to what you offer can make a really big difference when it comes to growing your account or your small business on Instagram, because your grid layout is one of the main things that people evaluate when they first discover your account and are deciding on whether or not to follow you or check out your products and services. Let me show you exactly what I mean. So this is the process that most people who discover your account through Instagram go through in order to become part of your followers and check out your products and services. So let's open the Instagram app. And this is my personal account. So on Instagram, people can discover you through the home page, the Explore page, the Reels page, or the shopping page. In this case, let's use the home page as an example. And I just noticed that I have a new notification. I'm going to check it out. And here I see that an account called Pottery for All liked one of my posts and commented. What most people do when they come across an account this way, they usually just tap on the username and check it out. And what most people do once they discover a new account like this is that they really quickly evaluate it in order to decide whether or not they should follow it. And most people evaluate it in this way. They quickly check out your profile photo, how many followers you have, but most importantly, first they evaluate your bio and they read it to try and understand what this account offers and how it's unique. If it appears to be something that they're interested in, what most people do next is quickly scroll through your grid layout. If the grid layout feels thoughtfully designed and visually appealing and in line with the content they're interested in, what most people will do next is tap into one or two or three of the posts to evaluate the content specifically. So they'll look at the imagery, they'll read the captions of a few posts, and evaluate how engaging it is to them and how in line it is with the content they're interested in consuming on Instagram. If after evaluating those three elements, they decide that the account appears to be valuable enough to them for a follow, they'll follow you. If not, they'll just leave the account and go on scrolling through Instagram. All of this is evaluated very quickly. Now, the more clearly a bio communicates what the account offers and how it's unique, the more thoughtfully designed and visually appealing the grid layout is, and the more engaging the specific content is as well, the more likely it is that the people who discover the account and are interested in the topic are to follow it. So how do you thoughtfully design a grid layout that'll make your account really stand out on Instagram? Well, there are two main strategies when it comes to designing a grid layout. The first one is what I like to call a multiples of 6 pattern, and the second one is what I like to call a color scheme coordination. Let's go into the specifics of each one. Let me show you a couple of examples, as well as a really simple process that helps me execute it on my accounts. So the first strategy I'm going to show you is a multiples of 6 pattern. Here is when you post your content in a consistent pattern that creates an eye-catching design when someone scrolls through your grid. A really simple way to understand how it works and how to do it is to begin looking at your grid in a multiples of 6 pattern. So that's post 1, post 2, post 3, post 4, post 5, post 6, and they repeat over and over again. And what you want to do is clarify what your pattern will be for every 6 posts, and then just make sure to execute it consistently. I like to write down the pattern of 6 posts, just so I know clearly what it is, and I can execute it over time. Let me show you some examples. So here's an example of an account grid on Instagram, and they follow a multiples of 6 pattern. As you can tell, the grid has a particular visual style, and it seems very thoughtfully designed when you scroll through it. And a really simple way to understand, for example, this multiples of 6 pattern is, so in posts 1 through 3, they post a photo of ceramic style number 1. Let's call this ceramic style number 1. And in the next 4, 5, and 6 posts, they will post a photo of ceramic style number 2. So you can tell this style is different than this style. And in the next multiples of 6, they'll do something similar. Another style, and so on, right? So every 3 posts, they're posting a different style. And once they do that consistently over time, it creates a really nicely designed grid. Here's an example of my personal account, which I do the same, a multiples of 6 pattern. So how I do it in my account is I post a reel of me dancing, then a post about my wife because I love her very much, and then an IGTV of a new article I published. And what I do is I just repeat that pattern. So a reel of me dancing, post about my wife, and IGTV. And if I continue to execute that over time, it creates a really nicely designed grid pattern. You can check it out at my account, Theodora Morales. And another example is this one from Kiki Jiang's. Her account is really cool and the grid is very beautiful if you want to check it out. So her version of the multiples of 6 pattern goes something like this. So a photo of color 1 coordinated fashion look, photo of color 1 coordinated makeup look, photo of color 1 coordinated fashion look. And then in the next 3 posts, they do a different color. So they do a different color fashion look, different color makeup look, different color fashion look. And they repeat that pattern over and over. So every 3 posts create a different visual style. And once you scroll through it on the grid, it looks really differentiated and really unique in comparison to all of the other accounts that do fashion looks or makeup looks. This one really stands out. Now, what are the keys to a multiples of 6 pattern? First, you want to make sure that the visuals of the content create a pattern. You can have an idea of what your multiples of 6 pattern is going to be, but if the visuals don't create a visual style that looks really unique and cohesive when someone is scrolling through, regardless of your pattern, it won't make an impact. And what else you want to do is to be really consistent. If you stray from your pattern, it'll lose all of its impact. So it's really important that if you choose this strategy, you continue to do it over time, because only once you consistently execute it will it look really good on your grid when people scroll through it. So that's the multiples of 6 pattern. Next up is the second strategy, which is the color scheme coordination. And this one is when the visuals of your posts have a degree of color coordination that create an eye-catching design when someone scrolls through your grid. A really simple way that I understand it and how I like to do it is to break down your color scheme coordination into 3 main colors that you want to coordinate over and over on the visuals of your posts. So what you want to do is clarify which 3 main colors you'll use in your color scheme coordination and create your content according through those 3 main colors. A really simple way you can test that is to have a grid like this on a paper and just try different colors, paint them in, and see if you color coordinate them in a way that they'll look really distinct when you can scroll through your grid. Let me show you examples. So here's one example of color coordination. So this person, as you can tell, has chosen 3 main colors for their content that when they consistently post that over time, makes for a really distinct grid when someone scrolls through it. And in this case, the main colors are orange, basically a tan, and a white. And the person shoots content based on those colors. Another example is this one. As you can tell, the grid looks very differentiated from most of the accounts that you discover on Instagram. And for this person, the 3 main colors is an aqua sort of color, kind of green, bluish. They also usually have a white tone in it and a little bit of red or pink in it that really makes it stand out. So those are the 3 main colors that this person uses and tries to include in their content visuals so they can execute a color scheme coordination, which makes them really stand out. Another version of this one is a color scheme coordination that evolves over time. So this person, for example, chooses 3 main colors for a particular set of posts. In this case, it would be green, black, and white. And what they do is every grouping of 6 or 9 posts, they slowly evolve the color scheme coordination over time, which makes their grid look really distinct when someone scrolls through it. Now, what are the keys to the color scheme coordination? First one is just being able to have really good content creation skills that will allow you to execute this type of content. Creating really good color scheme coordination requires you to have really good content creation skills. I, for example, couldn't execute it in a way that will make my account look really good and distinct, so I decided not to do this strategy because it's actually a bit harder to do in comparison to the multiples of 6 pattern. And again, you want to be consistent. If you're not consistent with any of these strategies, the grid won't stand out because it won't look thoughtfully designed over a long period of time. And it's always good to know that you can mix and match both strategies, right? So for example, this person has a multiples of 6 pattern as well as color scheme coordination. So does this person. So they would do a color scheme coordination for 6 posts and they would change them over and over again over time. So the more creative you are and the less your grid looks like other grids on Instagram, the more powerful it'll be to make your account stand out. Now let me show you an example of how I do it. With one of my accounts, Couples Cacao, the grid strategy I chose was a multiples of 6. And to do it, I use software. More specifically, a grid planner that's also a post automator. I like to use one called Only Pult. I'll include a link to it in the description of the video. So here's an example of how I do it. And please keep in mind that I already shot my content and I'm just in the process of organizing it so my grid will look visually distinct based on this grid design strategy. So this is the process of how I craft a visually appealing grid layout on my Couples Cacao account. So this is how the account looks now, is the grid layout. And keep in mind that I chose to go with a posting pattern to differentiate my grid layout. And the posting pattern I went with is one where I post a non-cacao photo and one where I post a photo of a cacao close-up, non-cacao photo, cacao close-up, non-cacao photo, cacao close-up. So the anchor of the posting pattern is cacao close-ups. And as you'll see in my account, I have them here, 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 a little bit more here, here as well. But for a little bit here, I didn't keep that order. So what I want to do is go back to that moving forward. And how I do that is through a grid planner. There's several types of software that offer grid planning. And basically what they do is grab all the photos in your grid up until where you are now. And then they allow you to upload photos to plan your grid ahead of time. So the one I use is called Only Pult. Once you upload the photos you want to post, you get to see all the photos you've uploaded next to the ones that you already have on your account. So now keeping in mind that I want to keep a pattern of cacao close-up photo, non-cacao close-up photo, cacao close-up photo, non-cacao close-up photo. I need to change the order of these because they're not in that order. So I have a cacao close-up here, and next to that, maybe I'll put this one. So I'll just drag it over here. This is another cacao close-up. So I'll need a non-cacao close-up here, drag it, cacao close-up, non-cacao close-up. So now with my grid planner, I'm able to see how my grid's gonna look over the next 7 posts. And the great thing about the software as well is that it'll upload them to your account for you, so you don't need to worry about posting at the right time or anything. But that's pretty much it. Upload your photos to a grid planner and post scheduling and automation software. Plan your grid and then save your changes. And as you see now, my future grid is gonna be in line with what I planned. Close-up, non-cacao close-up, cacao close-up, non-cacao close-up, etc. And I think it looks great. And all I want to do is improve it over time. And that's it. That's how you can thoughtfully design a visually appealing grid layout. Now, my advice is to just go ahead and pick one of the 2 main strategies, whichever one just comes more naturally to you, whichever one you feel you're more excited about, and try to begin implementing it on your account. If at first it feels hard or you feel like it's not very visually appealing on your grid layout, just know that that's really normal. It takes a while for people to get really good at it. And all you need to do is just be consistent and practice and continue paying attention to how you can improve your grid layout over time. My other piece of advice is to really try to avoid copying other grid layouts that you see on Instagram. Other grid layouts that already a lot of people are implementing on the platform. And the reason for that is that the whole point of thoughtfully designing a visually appealing grid layout is to make your account really stand out in comparison to all of the other accounts. So the more your grid layout looks like the grid layout of other accounts, the less effective it'll be. And it'll likely just work against you because it'll make your account appear less differentiated because of the grid layout it has. All right, so I hope you find that information valuable. If you do, Please subscribe to my channel. Give this video a good thumbs up. As always, please leave me a comment, any feedback that you might have, any other ideas about good videos that you would like me to do. I always really appreciate all of that information that you give me. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I love making these videos for you and hope to be making a lot more. Bye-bye!